A very good day to the audience of our podcast session. In today's episode, the podcast is about building information modeling in Malaysia. Together with me as the interviewer is Kelvin Jee.
Good day to everyone listening in.
Good day, Kelvin. Glad to have you today. As we all may know, building information modeling, often abbreviated as BIM, is currently a growing trend in the engineering industry. Therefore, to enlighten us on this knowledge, IEM-SSSS is honored to have IRTS Dr. Angelia Liew with us to share her insights into BIM. Dr. Angelia is currently the main lead of CIDB My BIM Satellite Center in Swinburne Sarawak and a certified BIM trainer. She leads the university's industry-driven building information modeling research team, where she spearheads the use of BIM in the construction industry through education, research, and development. She believes that BIM is an essential part of the design and construction process and will continue to play a vital role in our industry. Through industry-driven BIM, the application of cutting-edge technology is the way forward for the digital transformation in Sarawak construction industry. With that, we would like to welcome Dr. Angelia.
Thank you, Douglas. Thank you, Kelvin. Nice meeting you all. Thanks for having me today.
It's our pleasure. To begin our podcast session, I think it would be nice for us to give the audience a brief background information about building information modeling. So my opening question to you, Dr. Angelia, is what is building information modeling and what is its significance?
Thank you, Douglas. Well, building information modeling, more commonly known as BIM, is a process for creating and managing information on a construction project throughout its life cycle. As part of this process, a coordinated digital descriptions of every aspect of the built asset is developed using appropriate technology. These digital descriptions includes a combination of information-rich 3D models and associated structured data such as products information, executions, and also handover informations. Talking about the significance of BIM, I would say BIM is one of the most promising recent development in architecture, engineering, and construction, AEC. BIM is a big revolution in the construction industry. It is a multidisciplinary collaboration. With BIM technology, an accurate virtual building model is digitally constructed, allowing the engineers and other stakeholders to work together in a single model. Not only we designed it, but it helps the architects, engineers, and constructors visualize what is to be built in a simulated environment to identify any potential design, constructions, or operational issues.
That's a very comprehensive explanation about BIM. Since you mentioned about BIM as a multidisciplinary collaboration, may I know what engineering disciplines are related to BIM and why should engineers use BIM?
Okay, BIM is undertaken by professional disciplines such as structural, mechanical and plumbing, electrical and civil to enhance coordination and collaborations between disciplines. It has been a common misconception that engineers cannot use BIM or that it holds no benefits for engineers. In actual fact, BIM offers engineers the positive values of digitalization from conceptual to design stage. Engineers use BIM to produce an accurate site model, allowing them to create large 3D models of the project site and its surrounding real-world environments, making it a data-rich model. The 3D models can also be incorporated with GIS data for better accuracy. An accurate data-rich model is essential for site analysis and detailed infrastructure design. The engineers can further utilize this model to perform analysis and simulation for better informed design decisions. I'm a civil engineer, so let me just roughly tell you that these flood simulations, roadway configurations, and structural analysis for bridges are the least what BIM software such as InfraWorks, Revit, and Navisworks can do. So it also can be used to mitigate potential risks, preventing any omissions or error that could turn expensive and cause delays. Site engineers can also predict and mitigate any potential risks and hazards on the construction site, while architects and other engineers, the risk of schedules can be used and also the budget overruns. Well, just to share with you all, Autodesk reported that by 2024, the percentage of architects and engineers using BIM for over half of their project is forecasted to reach 89% and 80% respectively.
Dr. Angelia, since BIM provides so much ease to the engineers, architects, and other professionals, what are the reasons BIM is not so widely implemented in Sarawak yet? What should be done to promote BIM in the local industry?
Thank you, Kelvin. Just want to share with you a general view on why is BIM not so popular or not widely implemented, not only in Sarawak but in Malaysia. I would say the factors that the hindrance for BIM implementation will be lack of skilled talent pool. Okay, to be able to prepare plans in BIM and effectively utilize it to liaise with stakeholders across the value chain. Another factor would be, of course, most of the consultants or the industry player will complain that there is a high cost of adoptions. No doubt, BIM software and to upgrade the hardware is very expensive. And another hindrance would be resistance in BIM adoption. Most of the industry players are very comfortable with what they are doing now in a 2D format, so that feel that there's a resistance for them to shift from a 2D to 3D model. And I would also say that there's a limitation in the availability of usage guidelines, because when we implement something, we need to have a guidelines. So we are short of that. That's why it is actually a factor that actually stop the industry player from implementing it. Let's look at the Sarawak itself. There are many challenges that faced by our industry here in Sarawak in terms of BIM adoptions. I'll just share with you 4 points here. The first one will be there's little to no demand for BIM. So to solve this, we need the state agencies or the governments to take the lead, to have more construction projects that require BIM requirements submissions. The second one will be, like I mentioned earlier, the current 2D practice. So we know that we are so comfortable with our current practice, so we need to have more promotional and BIM awareness activities to promote BIM in the industry. So the government, universities, and the industries have to work together on the awareness and certification programs to the industry practitioners, and also to ensure that our graduates are well equipped with BIM knowledge and experience when they enter the industry. The third one that I would like to share with you would be the lack of BIM expertise. Like what I mentioned earlier again, is lack of skilled talent pool. We do not have BIM experts in the industry. So the government should move into BIM capacity and capability building. So this would be the first move in order to implement BIM in Sarawak, provide enough BIM supports and training to the industry, and work together, especially with the universities, for capability building. And in university, we should start teaching BIM, embed BIM within curriculum as a complete course or within the course with the help from the industry panel. Last but not least, another factor that actually hinders the implementation of BIM would be BIM-ready manpower. That's again similar to the previous factor, which is lack of skilled talent pool. When we need to implement a project with BIM, we need a BIM-ready manpower. So in this case, we need incentive from the government to support this initiative. Okay, so one of the government efforts in Sarawak is the adoption of BIM as one of the catalytic initiatives for the digital transformation and innovations and basic infrastructure clusters under the Sarawak, we call that PCDS, which is Post-COVID-19 Development Strategy 2030. Means that to implement this strategy, we need to have BIM as a catalytic initiative.
I see. Are there any authorities which are directly involved in BIM adoption and implementation?
Well, Kelvin, there is. BIM is national agenda driven by Public Works Department. We call that JKR, Jabatan Kerja Raya in Malaysia, through Construction Industry Development Board, CIDB. The idea to implement BIM in Malaysia was introduced by the Director of Public Works Department in 2007. So in 2011, CIDB received the mandate from the government to lead BIM implementation in Malaysia. So ever since, they have been proactively initiating, promoting, and supporting BIM adoption in Malaysia's construction industry. CIDB collaborates with MyBIM Center to provide the affordable BIM training for the practitioners to learn the process of implementing BIM, including the usage of tools, managing the construction site by using the knowledge of BIM. So to provide a more affordable training, the local government also set up MyBIM Satellite Center to support the MyBIM Center in HQ in KL. So, and Swinburne University of Technology Sarawak is one of the 6 satellite centers in Malaysia, Swinburne Sarawak was appointed the MyBeam Satellite Center in 2018.
Glad to hear that our university is also taking part in the BIM initiative in Malaysia.
Yes, I'm happy to hear that as well. Being such a powerful tool in the construction industry, I believe other countries are also utilizing BIM to facilitate their projects. Dr. Angelia, in your opinion, which country can Malaysia take example from on BIM technology?
Thank you, Douglas, for your questions. I would say Singapore, Hong Kong, and Australia, as they are the newcomers in BIM in the industry compared to the existing player, which is United States, Norway, Denmark, all these Scandinavian countries. For Hong Kong, Singapore, and Australia, they are newcomer because they only started implementing BIM, I would say, 10 years ago. All right? So Malaysia should review and follow the action plan from Singapore and Hong Kong in adopting and implementing BIM, which could be used in supporting the implementation of BIM in Malaysian construction industry. Singapore, for example, has been promoting BIM since 1997 and has slowly enforced the requirements of BIM when submitting building plans approval. BIM was officially introduced in Singapore in 2010 and was made mandatory in 2015. Hong Kong is very active in promoting BIM in its construction industries, although Malaysia has a well-planned roadmap and strategy, but support from the government is vital. Without this push, the implementation of BIM in Malaysia construction industry will be slow or stagnant. So implementing building information modeling in the Malaysian construction industry is not impossible and is achievable. If you see Hong Kong and Singapore as an example, they already show the possibility of implementing BIM in their construction industry. We can learn how the government of Singapore, the United States, Norway, and Denmark enforce the use of BIM through the government procurement and facility management processes. Still, to ensure the successful implementation of BIM in the Malaysian construction industry, we need strong collaboration and support from the government, the key industry player, and also from the academia.
Yes, I agree too. Besides the government, our education system also needs to be aligned with the trend in the industry. What could universities do to prepare the next generation of engineers in BIM?
Thank you, Kelvin. That's a very interesting question that I would like to share with everyone. Well, from the academic perspective, we see the importance of providing students with the necessary competencies for their future professional works. Institutions must train students to achieve the knowledge and skill required to meet the requirements of the construction industry. The university is encouraged to embed BIM within the curriculum as a complete course or within the course. But the problem now with many institutions is there's a lack of BIM curriculum unifications between the institutions to achieve effective implementations. Well, it is essential to note that incorporating a methodology in a curriculum is not as simple as using different teaching software. Well, industry players also play an important role to develop the real design and build project in parallel with the student BIM projects. The need to ensure that graduates at all levels have the specific skill sets for a BIM-enabled society. So at Swinburne Sarawak, we offer building information modeling for construction management as an elective for our degree students. This unit aims to develop students' understanding and application of knowledge and skills using BIM for construction management. We are preparing our students for the future of work, training BIM skill talents towards Construction 4.0.
Nice. And what should we expect to learn from the elective course on BIM offered at Swinburne Sarawak?
Well, the elective course I'll repeat again, Building Information Modeling for Construction Management is offered once a year during winter semesters. So students completing this unit should be able to operate parametric 3D modeling tools and translate the design intent that will be used in developing technical models. They will also know how to generate suitable BIM 3D models and use the model as a tool of interaction, communication, and collaborations. And they are able to evaluate project constructability by using digital model and design result to improve construction's efficiency. They also know how to engage this digital model to support construction process by having a proper cost planning, scheduling, and also resources quantities. Means they can actually use the model to do a quantity takeoff and do a logistic planning for the constructions.
Yeah.
And last but not least, students who complete this course will be able to apply BIM-based technical modeling process flow to identify the associated challenges in adoption, implementation, and ownership of the projects.
Alright, I think that was the last question I have for our podcast today. Thank you, Dr. Angelia, for this insightful sharing with our audience. To end our session today, maybe we can give our audience some take-home message from you.
Thank you, Douglas. Tech-home not, I would say a little bit longer. So more and more AEC industry digitalize their workspace. So as an industry practitioner and as you all like students, we need to keep up with the latest technology trend. Not just BIM, also how we can integrate BIM with the newest construction technology trends. For example, how BIM integrates with augmented reality, AR, and how the integration of cloud computing, BIM, big data, and the Internet of Things with BIM. Another trend that would be focusing on would be sustainability. We also use this BIM for energy modeling, using the BIM software that we can use the energy data to decide how we manage the energy cycle of the building, therefore reducing the carbon footprint. So to build a BIM-ready communities, integrating and transforming with BIM via government, effort, industry, and academic collaboration would be the way forward.
Thank you, Dr. Angelia. It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you, Douglas. Thank you, Kelvin.